It is wrap up time again, if you can't tell from the term that I always use for wrap up. I feel like I have to explain something. There's two reasons why this is going to be shorter. I'm going to try to do this shorter and purposely like make it so it's like not over a minute, really, minute and a half max for each book that I talk about. And there are two reasons. One, I have fake nails. My mom decided to get a bunch of stuff to make fake nails, and yeah, so now I have fake nails, and normally wouldn't be an issue, but they're like brand new. This is like the third day I've worn them, if you count the day that I got them. And that was like 6 hours that I wore them before I went to bed. So it's a lot of nails that I'm not used to. So for the editing process, it'd be easier for shorter. But also, I pinched a nerve in my neck. It was doing okay, and then yesterday I decided to play games for like 8 hours. When I play games, I tend to be like this, so it re-pinched the nerve, and I do not want to be like this editing for long periods of time. Hear me out. So this is gonna be fast, and I'm sorry for that, but also like, I don't know who you are who watched the last wrap up that was an hour long. Honestly, we need to have a conversation before I start talking about the actual books I read and stuff. Link below, as per normal, is the vlog that I mentioned in this video, specifically the ones that I read this month, but they will also be up above in the cards, as well as any playlist that they're in, so like the monochromatic playlist and the weekend reading vlog playlist. Those will all be up above when they are mentioned and important, so that's also a thing. Now, for my statistics people, I read 15 books and DNF'd one with an average star rating of 3.62. I read a total of 5,688 pages with a daily average of 189.6. So like, we can just round that up to 190. I read 6 ebooks, 1 physical book, 3 audiobooks, and 6 mixed media books, 2 of which were audio physical and 4 of which were audio ebook. And that is all the statistics I have for you. Merry Christmas. And I'm just gonna go right into it. I did start filming for vlogs very early on, which was like a smart play. And so the first book I read was The Hunter by L.J. Shen, for the second, giving authors a second try vlog. That's the book I DNF'd. I waited too long before I DNF'd it. I think I was like around 51%. Like, why did I wait that long? I don't know, because I was not having a good time the whole time. Hear me out. But basically, the moral of the story is the way that L.J. Shen writes her characters is not for me. That is fine. That was the whole entire point of that vlog. So we're happy with knowing that fact now, and yeah, moving on. And then also for the same vlog, I read Made of Steel by Ivy Smoke. I think I originally was gonna rate it 3 stars, but I brought it down to 2 star before the end of the vlog. Also, I was really into trying to figure out like what happens next in the book. It's very chaotic, which is I think why I liked it at all and was willing to read the whole entire thing. Also, I like how Ivy Smoke writes her characters much more than L.J. Shen. The only reason I'm comparing them is because they're both romance writers, but I don't understand how Made of Steel is labeled as romance. It's a thriller. Hear me out. But yeah, I liked it but didn't at the same time. And then also there's the issue of it's been almost a whole entire month since I've read that book. And hear me out, I don't care about what happens next anymore. I've like officially removed the second book from my Goodreads TBR. I was like really into it. I like really wanted to read the next book as soon as possible. All that fun stuff. I had it already downloaded. I deleted it. I decided to just not, because I don't care enough. I've decided yeah, I just needed some space to figure that out, and that is fine. But that one got 2 stars. We're back from a short break where I think one of my eyelashes tried to betray me if you notice my eye itch or getting red or like watery or me blinking a lot, that's why. It's right in the corner and I can't get it with the nails, so we're just gonna suffer. I put the physical books just in reach where, of course, it hurts me. I love that for me. The third book I read was Spirit Bound by Rochelle Mead, the fifth book in the Vampire Academy series, and the second to last weekend reading vlog of the year. We love that for me. And yeah, this one was chaotic. I liked it more than the fourth one because, and hear me out, it went a little bit back to its roots, but I was trying to figure out why after book 3 I don't like them as much, and I think it's because maybe it's her writing style in general has changed, or I think it's the writing style in general, but something about the writing is just slightly different, so it's not the same. It doesn't feel the same. I think they all came out back to back, so I don't know what happened there. Maybe like the first 3 were already written before she got the first one published or something. I don't know. But yeah, they don't feel connected. I feel like I felt that before, but it just, I thought because this one was going to be all the main characters back together, maybe it'd be fine, but no, I wasn't having a good time. I mean, I was having a good time. I rated it 3.5 stars, but it's not as good as the first half of the series. Hear me out. So, you know, but I still like it. Next up is Three Dark Crowns by Kendare Blake, which was the last book for the Give An Author a Second Chance vlog. And hear me out. This is the one that I'm actually gonna continue the series. I had a good time. I rated it 3 stars. It wasn't like the best YA fantasy I've read ever, but like it's definitely not bad. I think it was an issue of expectations versus reality type situation where based off of the plot or the synopsis I expected it to be more plot driven, but the plot stuff did not happen until like the last third, maybe quarter, like last little bit. It was mostly character driven, which is fine. I've gotten more into character driven books. They were not my thing like a few years ago, but now I've slowly grown into them. I have to be in the right mindset to read them and enjoy it, right? If that makes any sense. And so I was not expecting that, but now I know for when I continue the series. I think there's 4, I don't know, but I do know my high school library has the first 3, so I'm gonna continue the series. I'm down for it. Seems like a good time. I actually really enjoyed it, and now that I know what to expect, and also what happened to the 3 main characters at the end of the book, I'm kind of like down, yeah. Okay, the next book I'm gonna explain is hashtag Not Your Princess. So this one is a collection of Indigenous women's pieces of work. Some of it's like art, some of it's poetry, some of it's essays, some of it's like creative essays, some just straight up scientific essays. I think there's a few interviews, there's a comic strip, that type of stuff. It's just a collection by Indigenous women in North America. So Canada included in America, right? And this has been on my want to read list for a good chunk of time, but I could like never find it anywhere. And then because November was Indigenous Peoples Month, or however you prefer to say that, my high school library got, well, not only got, but also on their homepage, a lot of books by Indigenous authors, and they bought some, and this was one of them, and it was available, and I just sat there and read it in one night, just like, finally, yes, I can get my hands on this book. I've been waiting to be able to do that for forever. And it was good. Like, I thought it was only going to be poetry, so I was not expecting it to be more than that. But yeah, I liked it. It was its purpose. I liked a lot of the more analytical essay type stuff. and the poetry. Those two were kind of my favorite aspects. And if I have to label it, I guess I give it a 4.5. I don't know. But yeah, I really liked it. And if you want to read a book by Indigenous women about the hardships of being an Indigenous woman, yeah, go for it. I liked it. And then for the first book I read in the Orange reading vlog was She Who Became the Sun by Shelley Parker Chan. What do I even remember about that book? Things I remember. Lesbianism gives you magic. That makes sense if you read it. Okay? Like, her hand was in a place. In her wife's place. And then some magical things may have happened. Okay? Just hear me out. Anyways. Yeah, I liked it. I don't really know what I was expecting. But yeah, it was a good time. Enjoyed it. And I went with 4 stars. And then I finally picked up the new Amanda Lovelace, which is Unlock Your Storybook Heart. I mean, I haven't really enjoyed this collection series as much as the one, what was it, the Princess Takes Herself or something like that. That one. I prefer that series over this one, but I still enjoy them. I think I've rated all of them 4 stars in this series, and this one included. I liked it. I really liked a few bits of it. I did highlight a good chunk of it. And that's that. And then I continued the Orange reading vlog with The Alchemist, which I really enjoyed. I did, Helen brought it up in the Orange reading vlog comments about how there's a woman who deciphers the main character's dreams, and I called her a gypsy, which is now considered a slur. Which, yes, it is. I know this. I recognize this. It's just that's like the only title she is given in the whole entire book. So I just called her that. But yeah, just know that that's a thing. Okay, well, a plane's going overhead, so we'll see how much I cut out from that about me talking about The Alchemist. But basically, some of the treatment of women, I wasn't the biggest fan sometimes. Like, hear me out. If you meet a woman and she tells you that it's okay for you to go for your dreams because she comes from this culture in which, like, people go off and do their things, men especially go off and do their thing, and then the women stay and wait, and she's, like, done this her whole life, it's part of her culture, and then you want to just stay for her, which would make it so, like, it's not the healthiest relationship and whatnot because you stayed for her. Like, hear me out. If she constantly tells you this, maybe you should listen to her and not some other random guy who then tells you that same exact thing and then you finally listen to him, not the girl that you want to marry. I don't listen. That bugged me a little bit. And the treatment of women in general bugged me a little bit, but otherwise, I had a good time. It was a very quick read. And the narrator of the audiobook that I read was the guy who plays Alfred in the Ben Affleck DC Batman movies. And I love his voice. I know he's in other things. I've seen him in other things, but I really love his voice, so it was a good time. And a really quick read, and I get on 4 stars. And then there's me in pain reaching for the next physical book. And ignoring the plane some more. People we meet on vacation. It wasn't for me. Poppy, the main character, did not like her, especially for a romance book. And that's fine. Also, the back and forth and the time stuff, I kind of liked. And I think if it had been done in, like, a sci-fi or fantasy book, I really would have loved it. Because playing with time is a thing that I really like. According to my sister, who has read both this and Beach Read. Beach Read is, like, one of my favorite books of all time. Do kind of want to reread it this month, but we don't even talk about But according to her, she said that the time stuff was going to be my favorite, but the character stuff wasn't going to be for me, because one, miscommunication, but also Poppy is very hard to get into, and it kind of got annoying. And she was right. It did kind of get annoying. I did not enjoy reading Poppy's character, and the miscommunication trope was there a lot, and it was not a good time. But yeah, I read it. It's gonna go on the unhaul pile, like, right after this. I've been waiting to film this before I put it on there, but yeah. And that's fine. It's not my favorite. I kind of low-key expected to not enjoy it based off of people saying that you either like this or beach read, and I loved beach read. So, it's that. It's whatever. And I'm going with 3 stars. That's what I went with. And then after that, I read The Bookish Life of Nina Hill by Abby Waxman, which, it was written weird. Like, it was written kind of lighthearted, but the topics were not lighthearted at all. And the combination of that was a little weird at points, but at other points, it was enjoyable. And it was a good time. I guess, I mean, I did rate it more than 3 stars. I rated it 3.5 stars, so I can say it was a good time. The romance, I'm not sure about in that book. I think that was my main issue. Also, the stuff with the money and the dead father was very predictable. Like, it even said at one point that it wasn't going to do that. Like, that wasn't going to happen. And then it happened anyways. Like, quite literally, one of her coworkers was like, well, Nina will get a bunch of money from her rich dad that she never knew about, and then she can buy the bookstore that's gonna shut down because they can't pay their rent, and then we can all be fine and everything will be fine. And everyone's like, oh, that's not gonna happen, blah 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 blah. And then like, it looks like Nina's not gonna get any money, and then Nina gets a butt ton of money, and then she buys the bookstore and everything's fine. Like, also, some of the side characters, not sure how I felt about them. Especially any character that was not a reader, or memorized a lot of trivia facts. Like, it was a little weird. I think there's like a sequel. Don't think I'm gonna read it. But yeah, rated it 3.5 stars. And then the last book for that vlog, which happened to be my favorite book of the month, was Iron Widow. I'm not going to try to pronounce the author's name again. Okay, we all know I can't do it. But I love them. I followed them on TikTok before I even read this book. They seem like a pretty cool person based off of their TikTok. I know that's not much to go off of, but like, they seem like a pretty cool person. And then I read this book, and I don't know what I was expecting. But murder and mayhem and thruples. The only real issue I had was with the fighting in the giant exosuit things. I wasn't sure how that would be written in a way that would be enjoyable for me to read and understand what's happening. And most of the time it was fine. It was the end battle fight that was a little iffy for me, but a lot was happening there. But, and also, and hear me out, every time there's a love triangle now, I need it to become a throuple. I do not care. I need it to become a throuple. I love it. And it was so good. It was just so good. I am so upset that Jen talked me into reading this just so that I have to wait a year for the sequel to come out. But, you know, it's fine. It's fine. I rated it 5 stars. Yeah. I really liked it. Okay? And that's it for books for reading vlogs. So the last 5 are just me doing whatever I want to do. Starting with The Titan's Curse by Rick Riordan. For those who do not know, I have started the process of rereading all of the Percy Jackson books and going through them. In fact, after I finished filming this, I got a collection of like short stories from the universe from the library that I'm going to listen to. So but basically, I've been going through and rereading them and having a good time. Looking back at what I have rated the other ones. When I reread them, the Lightning Thief I gave 4.5 and Sea of Monsters I gave 4. I don't know why I had the Titan's Curse originally at 3 stars. We don't need to talk about it. It is now a 4-star. I remembered basically nothing. I remembered what happens to Bianca. Not exactly what happens, but like the general idea. I completely misremembered that whole entire scene. I had a vivid memory of how what happens to her happens. Okay? Like, it plays in my mind whenever I think of it. And then I reread the book. It turns out that's not what happens at all. We don't need to. I don't understand. But yeah, I remembered that. And then, Talia joining the, Hunters of Artemis. Yeah. Like, that's the 2 things I remembered. The rest of it did not remember. Specifically, Annabeth not really being in this book, and Aphrodite 100% being a Percy and Annabeth simp. Like, she's shipping them hard, and like, so am I, fam. So am I. Dude, it's so obvious, and I love it. I love it. If you have any questions about how I thought about this book, ask H, because I sent a lot of messages, especially voice messages of me freaking out. But yeah, it was a good time. And then we don't need to talk about the why. We just need to talk about Rest in Pieces, which is kind of a dumb name. The important name that you need to know is the name of the series, which is Barbie Vampire Hunter. It has absolutely nothing to do with, like, the actual child's toy, Barbie. The main character's name is Barbara. And she prefers to go by Barbie. Okay, that's it. But she does hunt vampires. Basically, I want to say 6 months ago, her whole entire family was murdered by 2 vampires. And then, she killed the 2 vampires. And now she is taken in by godparents that she didn't know existed. And they're like hella rich, and they take her in, and she is staying with them until she turns 18, trying to hunt down vampires, especially find the person who the vampire who hired the hit on her parents and whatnot. But also she plans to leave as soon as she turns 18. There is her godparents' son, who's Maverick, who's kind of a jerk. And then there's the Dhampir. I know, like, it's a term used before Vampire Academy, but every time I read Dhampir in a thing that is not Vampire Academy, it takes me out of it for like a half a second. But basically, he's half vampire, and he goes to our school, and I don't remember his name. Yeah. And they used to be best friends, those 2, Maverick and Dhampir boy, but they're not anymore because life. And so basically, she's hunting vampires. They kind of end up helping her. There's a thing with a succubus at the end. It's giving me, it could become a throuple vibes, but I don't know if it's gonna go full throuple. It does have the reverse harem tag on Goodreads, but like, and hear me out, she kisses Maverick once, and the only time Dhampir boy and her do anything is in a dream sequence in which the vampire version of him decides to eat a little down there. I don't understand if this is making any sense, but basically, yeah, no actual reverse harem really happens. It's clear that these 2 boys both like her, but like, it turns out like every guy in the whole entire school likes her because she's new blood and also attractive. Like, oh my god, she's a hot blonde. We love her. But also, like, she kind of likes them both, but I don't know if it's gonna go there. And I decided I don't want to continue the series. It was fine. I rated it 3 stars. The writing wasn't too bad. Like, hear me out. It was actually fine. It was actually the character interactions. It felt like every page, at least once, a character had to swear. Especially the F word. Okay? at least every line of dialogue sometimes, like, that was a little iffy. But basically my issue was the character stuff. The plot was fine. The writing was not the worst. Like, it was way better than I expected to be. Going 3 stars, but I don't want to continue the series. I don't really care, okay? And then we have my reread of Death by Lord Thalassa. I last read this book this January, so that's fine. But I did reread the first book in the series, Pestilence and War, in a vlog. Was that April? Or I think around spring? I don't know. And then in September, I reread Famine, for H. And, so I decided to just continue to reread. And so I can have a hierarchy of what I rate them all and all that stuff. This one I'm going with 4.75. Still really liked it. There were just a few little bits that, like, yeah. And I wish there was more of the actual relationship between Lazarus and Death, okay? Hear me out. So the the tier list, for the whole entire series goes Pestilence, then Death, then Famine, and then War. And yeah, I really liked it. I still cried at the end. I knew it was gonna happen. I knew, but I still cried. And yeah, still a favorite series. Also, I forgot this one was split into parts. I know the other ones were, so that was a little weird. Also, boss battle, I skimmed that because none of it makes sense in my brain anyways. But, you know, that's kind of like my main issue though, let's be real. And then I read we're on the book clubs, Book and Wallace book club. I read House of Hunger by Alexis Henderson, which I rated 3 stars. I finished that yesterday. I have learned for my horror books, I need it to be not really constant, but I need stuff to be happening the whole time. Which is, I think, why I really liked What Moves the Dead, because it was so short that, like, things had to be happening all the time, okay? A lot of House of Hunger was just everyday stuff. Like the grossness of these people, drinking the blood of young girls. Yeah. But, like, after a while, it just basically stands on that fact alone, and that's all it really is for most of it. And the twist, I wasn't the biggest fan of. I mean, it was well written. I did like how it was written. And I wonder if there's, like, a thing with furniture or paintings and whatnot with nudity, because, like, for the first, I want to say third, a lot of the time, she would just be looking at things, especially things that rich people owned, and she would, like, see an urn with a bunch of, like, naked women on it, or a chandelier with naked people on it, or a painting of naked people. Like, it would be mentioned a lot. And then, like, if I would go back and annotate it, I would highlight those parts specifically, and then after a certain point, it just stopped doing that. So I don't know if there's, like, a thing there. But yeah, I read it. It was fine. It wasn't my favorite, but I did like how it was written, and I kind of liked the characters. I think my main issue was the plot and the actual horror aspect. And then I reread A Court of Wings and Ruin by Sarah J. Maas. I've been going through and rereading them. I reread the first one in May. Upped it from 1 star to 4 stars. So yeah, and then now it's December, so in October I reread A Court of Mist and Fury, upped it from 2 stars to 4 stars. I will not be rereading the Christmas holiday novella thing. I do not care. And I have read it once. I'm fine with that. And I do have a very long wait list for Crisis of Flames, so this is apparently just going to be the last book in the series that I read for a bit. And that's fine. I originally rated it 3 stars. I'm keeping it at 3 stars. The beginning part where she is in the Supreme Court, out there vibing, destroying people, my favorite part. I was living my best life. The rest of it, I was kind of mad about. There would like be a few points where I'd be like, oh damn, or whatever. But I would also remember it, so it wasn't like big dramatic thing. Also, the reason why I liked it so much more than the others was because the big ending with like what happens to Reset, and I was like, oh my god, but then everything ended up fine. I was like, oh my god. This time I already knew it was gonna happen. It didn't really care either way. I knew he was gonna be fine, so I was like, whatever. But yeah. Also, justice for the cereal. And that was the last book. Also, I read the first part of Legend Board. I did start to reread it, but then I decided I want to redo my annotation of it. And so in order to do that, I have to get new pens. And I'm just going to wait until I get those pens for my reread and then read of Bloodmarked and do it all in one sitting, if that makes sense. And then I also read the first chapter of Dagon and Fear Deception for H. and Dion's and mine's book club thing, buddy read thing, which for people who have seen my TBR, the 11th book is that one, because it's just being moved to December because none of us really got it. I think the only person who started it was me. Dion may have started it, but I don't think any of us like really got any into it. Like, it's only 4% that I read. But I am enjoying it so far. And yeah, that's it. That's everything I read. It's not as long as a video, and it is a little longer than I wanted, but it's fine. That means I'm at 165 books for the year, and in order to reach my secondary goal of 200 books, I can blame my mom for that one, I need to read 35. So for the December wrap up, stay tuned to hear me talk about comic books and graphic novels. Actually, my high school library just got like my favorite comic book series, all of them, and also another series by the same person. So there's at least a few there that I could read, you know. So I'm gonna do that. I could also like finish one of the 3 manga series I'm in the middle of. We don't need to talk about. And yeah, that is it. That's everything that I read, and now I get to close off the video and basically tell you again that playlist linked above in the cards, as well as any videos specifically mentioned, but also they will be linked below in the description, specifically the Giving Authors a Second Chance, the one with Spiritbound, the weekend one for Spiritbound, and the Orange Monochromatic, and then the Monochromatic and the weekend reading playlist will be in the cards, if that makes sense. Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. But also linked below will be my social media, including my Goodreads, Storygraph, and Instagram. I post reviews on all 3 of them, though I still haven't posted my Sea of Monsters one. We don't need to talk about it. And then also, for that, on Instagram, I post favorites of the month, book trackers, all that fun stuff. Also, quick little like ratings and one-sentence reviews of books I'm reading, for vlogs, stories. So that's all there if you want to check it out. And then if you want to like keep up to date with what I'm reading in general as I'm reading it, Goodreads is the way to go. But yeah, all that's linked below. I think I'm supposed to say like and subscribe. My neck's really hurting, so I'm gonna close off and say thank you for coming. The next video should be the next in the weekend reading vlog playlist or series, in which I finished Vampire Academy. I'm gonna read the last book this weekend, and that, like, the day that this goes up, I will be reading that book. So next weekend, that's what's going up. So stay tuned for that.